Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a telephonic conversation with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders review the progress on a number of issues of bilateral cooperation. They exchange views on regional and global issues. India's financial inclusion plan, Jan Dhan Yojana, achieves a significant milestone. Over 500 million registered bank accounts so far. India's maiden solar mission, Aditya L1, to lift off on 2nd September. The first space-based observatory-class Indian mission to study the sun. Indian Space Agency, ISRO, releases a graph of temperature variation on the moon's surface. The lander records a high temperature of 70 degrees Celsius. And in sports, the Indian athlete Neeraj Chopra wins the javelin gold at the World Athletics Championships. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday held a telephonic conversation with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders reviewed progress on a number of issues of bilateral cooperation. They exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual concern, including the recently concluded BRICS summit. President Putin also conveyed his inability to attend the G20 summit in New Delhi and informed that Russia would be represented by its foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. The Prime Minister also thanked President Putin for Russia's consistent support to all initiatives under India's G20 presidency. Arun Sharma is there and he's joining us live with more on this story. Arun, so put into context for us, what's the real reason for the call?
Well, first of all, Mark, it was a courtesy call. So for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian President both had this telephonic conversation. Now, first of all, Mark, let me tell you that the Russian President Vladimir Putin also congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for this successful landing on the lunar surface, that is a Chandrayaan-3 mission. So Russian President Vladimir Putin also congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the successful landing of this Chandrayaan-3. Number two important aspect is that recently, conducted the BRICS summit that was held in, in South Africa. So both the leaders discussed on the outcomes of the BRICS summit, and of course, both the leaders also discussed on the expansion of the BRICS summit. Now, it is to be noted that, Mark, from the 1st January 2024, Russia will be having the chairmanship of the BRICS summit, and therefore, Russia has asked for a close cooperation from the Indian side as well. And of course, the expansion of the BRICS, that was a major outcome of the recently concluded the BRICS summit in, in South Africa, that was also discussed. Now, we know this fact that the Russian president, he also did not attend the BRICS summit earlier, and also various multilateral events have not been attended by the Russian president. And in that context, he has said that further also in the G20 summit, he will not be in a position to join, and therefore Lavrov from Russian side will, of course, will be joining the G20 summit that is going to be, conducted in New Delhi. So, and various, of course, issues of regional, international, issues that were also discussed when both the leaders, had this telephonic conversation. It was, of course, a courtesy call. Both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian leadership discussed on various issues of mutual benefits as well.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Arun Sharma, for joining us with those inputs. Now, India's Jan Dhan Yojana, which is the largest financial inclusion program in the world, has succeeded in providing banking facilities to over 500 million people in the last 9 years. Devyendra Mandal brings us more.
India's national mission for financial inclusion, or the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, that enables citizens to avail essential financial services, has completed 9 years.
9 साल पहले देश में बहुत बड़ी संख्या में लोगों के पास बैंक खाता ही नहीं था, बेचारों ने बैंक का दरवाजा नहीं देखा था। इस योजना से गांव गरीब तक सरकारी लाभ सीधे पहुंचाने में तो मदद मिली ही है और साथ ही महिलाओं, दलितों, पिछड़ों, आदिवासियों के रोजगार और स्वरोजगार को इससे बहुत बल मिला है।
In the 9-year journey, more than 500 million accounts were opened under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Total deposit balances under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana accounts stand at 2,03,505 crore rupees. Bank accounts witnessed a 3-time jump from 147 million in March 2015 to 509 million till August 2023. Around 56% of the Jan Dhan account holders are women. Around 67% of Jan Dhan account holders are from rural and semi-urban areas. Close to 340 million RuPay cards have been issued to account holders. The scheme has been beneficial for account holders for direct transfer. It was especially useful during the COVID-19 pandemic. Dibyendu Mondal for DD India.
And DD India's Dibyendu Mondal also spoke to the Financial Services Secretary, that's one of the highest officials in the Finance Ministry of the Government of India, Vivek Joshi. Let's take a listen.
As India celebrates 9 years of Jan Dhan account, we have crossed about 50 crore accounts in this segment. This was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi about 9 years back. I am joined by Finance Secretary Vivek Joshi ji. Welcome to DD India. How do you look at the reasons for this scheme to be such a grand success? In the last 9 years, I mean, we are touching 50 crore accounts right now. So what are the reasons behind this success?
So there are, many reasons for the success of this scheme. This has been the grand vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, and he launched this scheme on 28th of August 2014. And in 9 years, we have been able to achieve around 50 crore accounts till August 2023. And that is very satisfying. And many agencies of the government, outside the government, have worked it to make it as a public campaign, people's movement, and that is why we have been successful to come up to this numbers.
Now that we have touched 50 crore accounts, what next for the ministry? What are you targeting? Maybe another 50 crores in the next 5 years?
We look at the total number of accounts and the total population of the country, then we will see that we are almost near saturation. So, I mean, covering another 50 crore is slightly tall ask. So if we look at the total number of accounts, including these 50 crore account, they are approximately 160 crore. Whereas our population is maybe approximately 136 crore or 137 crore. I mean, it's anybody's guess. So we are near saturation, but still there are people who need to be covered under this scheme. They need to be opened their account. Each year we are adding almost 3 crore new beneficiaries into the fold of this scheme, and we will continue doing that, for which we take various campaigns at different points of time. We just finished one campaign in last July. We propose to do another campaign from October. In these campaigns, we not only cover this Jan Dhan accounts, but we also motivate the participants of these scams for enrolling themselves in PMJJBY and PMSBY, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for joining us, and wish you many more success in this sector. And we at DD and India also wish that this Jan Dhan account, which is a noble cause taken up by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to include the marginalized section into mainstream banking and financial services. with camera person Kumar Dutt. This is Dibyendu Mondal for DD India from New Delhi.
And the Indian government appointed Indians for 51,000 new government jobs. This is called the Rozgar Mela. That's a job fair as a part of the promise of job creation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Fuzail Ahmed reports.
It was a dream come true for many Indians who got new government jobs today. The Indian government issued 51,000 new jobs at the Rozgar Mela or job fair organized at 45 locations across the country.
बीते कुछ वर्षों में अर्धसैनिक बलों की भर्ती प्रक्रिया में हमने कई बड़े बदलाव किए हैं। आवेदन से लेकर चयन तक की प्रक्रिया में तेजी लाई गई है। अर्धसैनिक बलों में भर्ती के लिए होने वाली परीक्षा अब 13 स्थानीय भाषाओं में भी कराई जा रही है।
Speaking virtually, the Prime Minister said the sectors of pharma, automobile, tourism and infrastructure are seeing a massive boost.
किसी भी अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ने के लिए ये जरूरी है कि देश के हर सेक्टर का विकास हो। फूड सेक्टर से लेकर के फार्मा तक, स्पेस से लेकर के स्टार्टअप तक, जब हर सेक्टर आगे बढ़ेगा तो अर्थव्यवस्था भी आगे बढ़ेगी। आप फार्मा इंडस्ट्री का उदाहरण ले लीजिए। महामारी के समय भारत के फार्मा इंडस्ट्री की बहुत सराहना की गई। आज ये इंडस्ट्री 4 लाख करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा की है और कहा यह जा रहा है कि 2030 तक भारत की फार्मा इंडस्ट्री करीब 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए की हो जाएगी।
It was an emotional moment for many youth who got government jobs.
I am from Andhra Pradesh, NTR district. I completed my BTech and I got selected in GD Constable in CISF department, and finally I selected for this post and I felt very happy for this.
My name is Arun Pandi. I am from Tamil Nadu, from Sivaganga district. I selected in a Constable GD in CISF department. My parents are very happy about that, and my future goal was become a higher level posters in CISF.
Rozgar Mela or job fair aims to give impetus to the employment initiatives in the country. It is a significant step forward towards fulfilling Prime Minister Narendra Modi's commitment to provide job opportunities for the youth. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
And still to come here on DD India News Hour. India's financial inclusion plan, known as Jan Dhan scheme, completes 9 years. More than 500 million bank accounts opened. Commerce ministers of China and the US hold talks in Beijing to mend ties, but differences remain. And 2 killed in a missile attack in central Ukraine, while a drone is downed near Moscow.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
India.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Nous
sommes l'Inde.
Nahnu hunud.
India.
Ma Hindi hasti.
Mung Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance, introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's take a look at other stories making news. President Draupadi Murmu of India has released a commemorative coin featuring legendary actor and Andhra Pradesh's former Chief Minister N.T. Ramarao at a function held in New Delhi. It marked his centenary birth year, and one side of the coin depicts the Indian symbol of the Ashok Chakra and 3 lions, while the other side has Rao's picture with a commemorative message. Children in the eastern state of Odisha are celebrating the success of Chandrayaan-3 by making eco-friendly Rakhi bracelets ahead of Raksha Bandhan. It's a Hindu festival that celebrates the relationship between brothers and sisters. Raksha in Hindi is protection and Bandhan means bond. On this day, sisters tie Rakhi, which is a lace or a bracelet, on a brother or someone she considers as one. In India's southern city of Chennai, excited motor enthusiasts were stoked as a vintage car exhibition with 68 cars and 20 bikes rolled into town. The exhibit showcased vintage models of Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Austin and Jaguar. Auto enthusiasts rejoiced as they relived the nostalgia and also took pictures with the classic beauties. Rain, flash flood and landslides have caused destruction in some states of India. The India Meteorological Department warns of heavy rain in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya on Monday. In the northeastern state of Assam, the Brahmaputra River has crossed the danger mark and forced people to leave their homes. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has highlighted India's strides in the field of science, technology and innovation. Addressing an industry event virtually, the American philanthropist also lauded India's efforts in providing access to good health and sanitation.
The Gates Foundation has worked in India for more than 2 decades now. And every time I visit the country, I'm excited about the progress being made on critical health and development challenges. India eradicated polio. India's reduced poverty, HIV transmission, and infant mortality. India's increased access to sanitation and financial services. So I'm very impressed not only by India's innovation in the science and technology, but also on the focus to deliver those innovations to those who need them most.
The G20 India Agri-Tech Summit was organized today in the national capital of India, New Delhi. The role of technology in the field of agriculture, the possibilities of technology-based agriculture in the future, these things were discussed. Startups and people associated with the agriculture industry participated. India's G20 Sherpa, Amitabh Kant, addressed the event. The Sherpa is the special appointee of each member country's principal to undertake negotiations to draft the final outcome document. He highlighted 4 priorities of the Agriculture Working Group and also said that the G20 members have taken the collective responsibility for sustainable agriculture food system.
The Agriculture Working Group had 4 priorities this year: food security and nutrition, sustainable agriculture with climate-smart approach, inclusive agri-value chains and food systems, and digitization for agricultural transformation. All these G20 priorities of India are set in the backdrop of addressing the issue of global hunger and malnutrition for achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 2 of zero hunger by leveraging technological advancement. And technological advancement in agriculture is really the key. Leveraging digital and technological advancement also translates mainstreaming innovative practices like providing farmers with real-time data, creating crop production forecast models, integrating artificial intelligence for projections regarding crop disease outbreak, warming and agricultural inputs control, particularly good irrigation systems. G20 members, being the major agriculture producers, consumers and exporters, have come together to take a collective they have taken a collective responsibility towards transitioning to a sustainable and resilient agricultural food system.
And he further said that digitalization in the agriculture sector will promote resilient agri-food system.
Promoting investments in the startups, incubators and accelerators to boost entrepreneurship in agriculture was also highlighted in the agricultural track this year. Technology can be employed at all stages of the agriculture and food systems. Ladies and gentlemen, production, processing and marketing are all critical. Digitization and fintech services with rural digital inclusion in a comprehensive manner and at a scale will promote resilient agri-food system and value chain.
Surendra Makhija, who's the chairman of Jain Irrigation Systems Limited, said that in the coming days, innovation will provide software to the farmers that they will be able to grow crops which are demand-driven.
I always believe that the agriculture has to be demand-driven. The farmer should be able to know the pulse of the market. He should know what he should grow, where he can sell it, and what is the anticipated price. So this is all possible because of the small device we all hold in our hand. And times will come, the innovations would provide these kind of softwares to the farmers that he or she would be able to, should grow crops which relate to the demand, which can be transported to the demand centers, and they are able to get good money, double, triple or multiply the income. And our current government has made it possible for the farmer to know about things, to reach the market because of the digital access. So that's how I feel science and technology will play a very big part.
As part of India's G20 presidency, the second G20 Chief Scientific Advisors Roundtable meeting officially began in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. And the science advisors, scientists, researchers from G20 countries and invited countries participated in the event. The meeting is going to discuss, even tomorrow, the advancement of inclusive global science advice. 4 sessions on themes such as opportunities in One Health, synergizing global efforts to expand the access to scholarly scientific knowledge, diversity, equity and accessibility in science and technology, an institutional mechanism for inclusive global S&T, science and technology policy dialogue to be held. Delhi's International Airport Limited, DIAL, has taken several strategic measures, in fact, to ensure a seamless and welcoming experience for the G20 delegates. A dedicated team of officials has been assembled to oversee the arrival and departure operations, guaranteeing optimal facilitation. Collaborations with the government entities like the Ministry of External Affairs, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Delhi government are in place for comprehensive support. Terminal 3 has been transformed with illuminated G20 summit logos, informative standees and artistic beautification of both the terminal vicinity and the airport approach. Expressive hoardings also convey warm welcomes and gratitude, providing a pleasant and informative atmosphere. Delhi is gearing up for the G20 summit to be held on the 9th and 10th of September, and many heads of state and diplomats are going to be attending. 50 ambulances too will be designated with medical staff at hotels, the airport alongside Bharat Mandapam. This is to deal with any medical emergency during the G20 summit. Hospitals like Ram Manohar Lohia and AIIMS will be ready for treatment, along with 50 ambulances which will be deployed near the hotels, airport and the G20 venue, which is the Mandapam. And intensive care unit Like arrangements also will be installed near the G20 venue to cater to any medical contingency. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, who we saw a little while earlier, is expected to review the medical contingency preparation for the G20 summit tomorrow. Now, Japan is calling on China to calm its citizens. This is over concerns of anti-Japanese sentiment building up in the country. Eggs and rocks have been thrown at Japanese schools, and hundreds of nuisance calls allegedly made from China in protest over Tokyo's discharge of nuclear waste into the Pacific Ocean. Chris Gilbert reports from Tokyo.
Well, there have been a few days of testing now of the seawater about 40 kilometers offshore from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear site, and a few days of test results have come back, and what they have found is that the seawater at this time, after the discharge began, has very little to no quantities of tritium or other isotopes that could pose a danger to the environment or human health at this stage. This has been corroborated by third-party results done also by the local Fukushima government. Now, this is very good news for Tokyo because they really want to front foot the message after the discharge begun that it is safe, it has negligible impacts on human health or the environment, and to really counter what they say are harmful rumors coming from China saying the exact opposite, that it is harmful to human health and it is harmful to the environment, and China will take steps such as the seafood ban they placed on Japan to counter this. There is concerns about rising anti-Japanese sentiment in China coming from Tokyo, particularly after eggs and rocks were thrown at Japanese schools in the last couple of days, after calls on Chinese social media for aggravation around the Japanese embassy, and also after hundreds of phone calls have been received here in Japan from +86 phone code numbers from China, effectively one every minute for some public servants who are receiving them, effectively what Japan is calling nuisance calls or harassment calls, calling on these public servants to stop the dump. Japan has requested China call for calm from the Chinese citizens who are doing these phone calls and throwing rocks and eggs at schools, but political experts here are also saying that Tokyo needs to keep a cool head as well, so this situation doesn't blow up into a full-blown political row. Chris Gilbert in Tokyo, reporting for DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. 21-year-old with no criminal history kills 3 people in the US state of Florida. Japan cautions its citizens to take precautions when visiting China after Fukushima water row. And Sri Lanka celebrates the festival of the tooth to honor Lord Buddha.
Welcome to Jaipur.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a telephonic conversation with the President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. The two leaders reviewed the progress on a number of issues of bilateral cooperation. They exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual concern, including the recently concluded BRICS summit in Johannesburg. India's financial inclusion plan, Jan Dhan Yojana, achieves a significant milestone with over 500 million registered bank accounts. India's maiden solar mission, Aditya L1, to lift off on the 2nd of September. The space-based observatory will study the sun's atmosphere. And the Indian athlete Neeraj Chopra wins the javelin gold at the World Athletics Championship. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands of people were evacuated from multiple provinces in China after heavy rains triggered flooding and landslides. Weather forecasters have issued warnings of more torrential rain and flash floods over the next 2 days. Super Typhoon Saola, which is making its way across the South China Sea, is expected to make landfall at the Guangdong province in the coming days. Looking at this situation, the Chinese government has called for more precautions against the flooding. Japan has delayed the launch of a rocket that was to carry a moon lander into space, citing strong winds. The launch was suspended for the third time on Monday, less than 30 minutes before the planned liftoff. The rocket is expected to carry Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's smart lander for investigating the moon. It would be the first Japanese spacecraft to land on the moon. At least 23 people were killed after Houthi fighters launched a surprise attack on Yemeni government forces in the country's southern province of Laj. Over the past few years, the country has been embroiled in a devastating civil war. Despite several rounds of talks, no comprehensive resolution has been reached. A 3,000-year-old tomb has been unearthed in Peru. Archaeologists called it the Priest of Pacopampa, named after the archaeological zone where it was uncovered. The tomb was covered with 6 layers of ash and decorated with ceramic bowls. Chandrayaan-3 is revealing more and more about the moon. The Indian Space Research Organization has data from the mission's Vikram lander that indicate major temperature variations on the moon's surface. Tripti Tripathi has more.
Chandrayaan-3's latest observations suggest that the temperature on the moon might not be as conducive to life as one may have thought. Chandrayaan's Vikram lander has recorded temperature variations on the lunar surface and recorded a high of 70 degrees Celsius. This graph released by the Indian Space Research Organization shows fluctuation in temperatures with increasing depth near the south pole of the moon.
The sensor on board of a lander has also taken certain temperatures by digging a bit deep into the soil. And the graph which has been given by ISRO clearly demonstrates the variations in temperature which are there on the lunar surface. These are early observations and only one set of observations. It's not possible to come to any definitive conclusions or draw inferences based on one observation. Based on more amount of temperatures and other related information, ISRO will be releasing certain amount of initial conclusions about the data which they are receiving.
The Chandra's Surface Thermophysical Experiment or CHAST has measured a sharp drop in temperature just about 10 centimeters below the surface. The temperature was recorded to be minus 10 degrees Celsius, while on the surface it recorded a high of 70 degrees Celsius. Chandra's Surface Thermophysical Experiment instrument is outfitted with 10 individual temperature sensors.
चास्टे पेलोड जो इनिशियल एक्सपेरिमेंट किए हैं उसके जो नतीजे सामने आए हैं कि लगभग 8 से 10 सेंटीमीटर तक वो जा सकता है। तो 8 सेंटीमीटर तक के डेटा जो हमने लिए हैं उसके मुताबिक माइनस 10 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड से लेके प्लस 50 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड के अलग अलग डेटा 10 सेंसरों ने कलेक्ट किए हैं।
Indian Space Organization has just revealed that the Pragyan rover has come across a crater with diameter of 4 meters. Pragyan was safely rerouted after coming face to face with the crater. Tripti Tripathi for DD India.
After the success of the Chandrayaan-3 mission, India's space agency, ISRO, is all set now for another launch, to launch its first space-based Indian observatory to study the sun. It's called Aditya L1 and it will be launched on the 2nd of September. The spacecraft will lift off at 11:50 a.m. India time, that is 6:20 GMT, from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in the southern Indian city of Sriharikota. ISRO says that the spacecraft will be placed in a halo orbit around the Lagrange point 1 or L1 of the Sun-Earth system, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth. It is expected to take more than 120 days for the spacecraft to reach the L1 point, and the mission, it aims to provide crucial insights into various aspects of solar activities. It will carry 7 payloads to observe the photosphere, the chromosphere, and the outermost layers of the sun, that is the corona, in different wave bands. And taking the story on Chandrayaan-3, reading of the moon's temperature at 70 degrees Celsius, and also India's Aditya mission to study the sun, we are joined by Nilesh Desai, Director of the Space Application Center of ISRO at Ahmedabad, and Lieutenant General retired Anil Bhatt, who is the Director General of the Indian Space Association. Thank you both of you for being with us. Mr. Desai, so what we are going to be discussing really is temperature. Now, the sun, we understand, is the source of all heat that we know of, but how does the moon's high temperature in the South Pole sound to you?
Yeah, so we are already studying now moon through this Chastity payload, and we have obtained very good results, as has been already elaborated by you. So the temperature variation measured by these 10 sensors is around -10 to +50 degrees, which has been already elaborated, and we have put this information on the website also. And now we embark on another important mission, that is studying the sun. So moving from colder region to really the hottest region in our solar system, that is the observation of sun, and that too from a vantage point. So that is going to be the major hallmark of this particular mission. It is scheduled for launch now on 2nd September, as has been already announced by ISRO. Morning 11:30 to 11:50 hours.
Right. General, but will Aditya mission help us understand space weather, you know, if such a concept is fathomable? I mean, we talk about our weather, but if there is such a thing as space weather, after all, the sun's rays are passing all over the place.
Oh yes, one of the stated missions of Aditya L1 mission, as given by ISRO, is to study sun weather or impact of sun's weather on the entire solar system, and that includes Earth. So definitely whatever the studies they will do there, how does it affect our weather on Earth will also be studied.
Mr. Desai, coming back to the moon, how does the heat affect you know, the soil, the minerals, the water content that we were talking about? Is this going to change anything? You know, I mean, or the hopes that people had about you know, about our intentions with the moon?
No, I don't think so, because right now what heat we are seeing on the surface of the moon is around 50 degrees centigrade. That is because we are in the brighter part of the sunlight now, right now, because it is a daytime there. One moon day is equal to 14 Earth days, and we have launched on the second day. So considering that we are at the now brightest part of the sunlight, which is impinging on the moon surface, so that has resulted into the heating up of the soil. So right now we are observing this heat on the surface of the soil, and as you go down, it is cooling down. But as we approach the frightful night, which will come after total 14 days of observation, and everything will cool down to almost -120 to -150 degrees centigrade. that time I don't know what sort of observation we'll be able to make, because as you are well aware, this mission is scheduled for 14 days on life only, and after that we will try to observe it, and subsequently we'll try to revive it after the 14 days of this frightening night, and whether we are still able to recover something and do the observation. So that will be the bonus, as has been already earlier also I pointed out. So all in all, very interesting observations are in the offing as far as the Chaste payload and other payloads which are there on the other three payloads which are there on the lander, as well as the two payloads on the rover as well.
But General Butt, for a layman like me, one wonders about temperatures like these. Obviously, they are not temperatures in which life can exist. So, I mean, does this make the possibility of building a future colony on the moon unlikely?
Well, I think Dr. Desai would be the better man to answer this question. But these are the challenges we have to overcome on the moon. Low gravity, no atmosphere or oxygen, temperatures which are challenging. And despite that, I'm sure with disruptions in technology, this will happen in the future.
Mr. Desai, would you like to comment on that question, sir? Yeah.
Yeah, when we designed this mission, so one of the idea was that whether last time, if you remember, Chandrayaan 1 time, and results obtained was using especially the NASA mineral mapper, that is the moon mineral mapper, M-Cube spectrometer. It gave us a hope that there is a hydroxyl molecule. It has found out the spectrum of that was discovered, and then based on that, these studies were corroborated by our sensors on Chandrayaan 2, whether it is pure frequency synthetic aperture radar or our own spectrometer on board Chandrayaan 2 orbiter. But all these observations were from distance, that is remote instrument, which were operating at a height of 100 kilometers. But this time, since we are on the moon surface with our lander, and that too on the southern pole, all the observation till now had been, the in situ observation has been on the equator by other countries.
Yes.
But now since we are on the south pole, and there is a possibility, because south pole is full of craters and boulders, as we are well aware of. So craters, and the rim of the craters, somewhere this frozen ice will be there or snow will be there, and that will like to explode. So with our rover, Pragyan rover, which is moving around now on the surface of the moon, of course it is having slower movement compared to what we earlier envisaged due to non-availability of the Earth station from NASA, JPL, Goldstone Earth Station, because if that would have been available to us, we could have done more experiment. But whatever time we have now left, we are racing against time. That is one other aspect.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have around 8-9 days left in which we have to do many experiments. So rover will go nearer to some of the craters and try to do the in situ observation with these two spectrometers which are there. One is laser-based spectrometer, as with the other one X-ray spectrograph. So with this instrument, we will get some new information which we can further. Right now, the aim is to collect information, do experiments, send the data from rover to lander, and then bring it back to Earth through our Bailalu Earth station, and then do the analysis and further studies leisurely. Important part now is to collect data at the earliest within the remaining period.
So the data that's coming in is about temperature right now, and so we're looking at heat, General Butt. How effective can heat be as a source of energy to power spacecraft? I mean, if we are likely to, look at future missions where perhaps, land on the moon, use the sun as a source of energy to try and move spacecraft further, can this, can we actually, in fact, mine the moon's surface, bring back things based on, getting energy from the sun?
Energy from the sun is used by all kind of spacecrafts today itself. Even in the lander, even for its survival for 14 days, there are solar panels, and it is the sun's energy which is being used. But the challenge, as you know, of the southern side of the moon, where for 14 days the temperatures will go sub-zero. And there is where energy would not be available. But energy from the moon by other means, if other sources of energy like helium are formed, is a different issue. But yes, solar energy for lunar space stations, for space stations is definitely used, and in space will continue to be used.
Okay, that's all the time we have for this discussion. I'd like to thank our guests, Mr. Nilesh Desai, Director of Space Application Center, ISRO, and Lieutenant General Anil Bhatt, retired DG, Indian Space Association. Thanks for being with us and also for highlighting on the importance of the moon. The moon, actually, there are lots of questions we could also ask about where the moon originated from, whether it actually came from the Earth. Now, still to come on DD India News Hour. The Indian athlete Neeraj Chopra makes history, wins India's maiden gold at the World Athletics Championship. The Cricket World Cup trophy reaches Uganda on its journey around the globe.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind. Zari India.
Salam India. Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Mui
Nous
India.
sommes land.
Nahnu Hunud.
India.
Ma Hindi Hasti.
Mung Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. It isn't business as usual for the world's two largest economies that are in a trade war, but business interests on both sides are urging their governments to mend fences in their own business interest. Mihir Makuri and Chris Gilbert report.
The US and China are trying to ease trade and business tensions. US Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo is in Beijing and will also visit Shanghai. Her meeting with Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao on Monday lasted over 2 hours. The US sounded out a conciliatory tone of necessary cooperation, saying it is profoundly important for the world's two largest economies to have a stable economic relationship. Raimondo is carrying concerns raised by US businesses that are facing challenges while operating in China. China, too, has sharply criticized United States' efforts to block its access to advanced semiconductors. With 2024 being an election year in the United States, Republicans are not keen on any working group with China on export controls on advanced semiconductor chips. Raimondo said she had no room to compromise on issues of national security. 99% of trade between the two countries is unrelated to export controls.
There's going to be a raft of issues on the table, but I think the main thing that's really front and center in all of this is going to be the future pathways towards a productive, pragmatic and cooperative relationship between these two countries, especially in this area. There's a lot of optimism here.
The world's two largest economies share more than $700 billion in annual trade, but clearly with complications. Raimondo believes that progress can be made if both sides are direct, open and practical. Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao said US-China economic relations matter not just to the two countries, but to the rest of the world, and expressed appreciation of Raimondo's remarks. He said China is ready to work together to foster a more favorable policy environment.
China has some concerns about difficulties that remain in the relationship. Their perspective is that there are significant challenges to dealing with the US, but both parties are really on the same page. It's very interesting at the moment that this visit was prefaced by some high-level visits from John Kerry, from Anthony Blinken, from Janet Yellen, and yet all eyes are on the Commerce Secretary at the moment with the most hope for this relationship, and that is because, as Secretary Raimondo has said, that commerce and trade is far away from the world of global security and the snags that are there.
Raimondo arrived in Beijing on Sunday. She continues her discussions with Chinese officials on Tuesday before heading to Shanghai. She was assisted by US Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns. With inputs from Chris Gilbert, Mihir Makuri reporting for DD India.
Russia has launched an overnight air attack over central Ukraine, killing over 4 people. And Ukrainian president says that elections could happen next year in Ukraine. Kirti Vadhera reports.
Russia launched an overnight air attack on northern and central Ukraine, killing at least 4 people. Those killed were workers at an industrial facility in the Poltava region. 5 others were also wounded during the attack.
Russian Ministry of Defense says it has carried out a high-precision strike against a Ukrainian airfield near Pinchuki in Kiev region. All designated targets, according to the ministry, have been destroyed. It also says that Russian troops have successfully repelled 5 attacks by Ukrainian forces in the Uspenovka and the Robotyno districts of the Zaporizhia region. And in the Kupiansk direction, Moscow says it has repelled 11 attacks by Ukraine and hit up to 120 military personnel.
Ukraine, on the other hand, has claimed its troops have liberated the settlement of Robotyne in southern Zaporizhia region. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has responded to calls by a US senator this week to announce elections in 2024.
And there are moments with foreign countries. Here we need Europe to help us, for the most part, because Ukrainians are in the majority in the European Union today, and we need to open up appropriate opportunities there so that people could come to the polls. We don't have such infrastructural capabilities. 7 million people have to vote. We need every vote.
Tensions are rising in NATO's eastern flank. Poland and the Baltic states have announced that they will close their borders if Belarus entirely if incidents of violence by Wagner mercenaries continues.
2 things are necessary to stabilize the situation on our border with Belarus. We demand from the authorities in Minsk that the Wagner group immediately leave the territory of Belarus and that illegal migrants gathered at the border by Belarusian authorities immediately leave the border area and are sent back to their countries of origin.
The second ship that set sail from Ukraine's port city of Odessa has now reached Istanbul. Kremlin was quick to respond, saying the passage of the ship has nothing to do with the prospect of the revival of the grain deal. Kriti Vadhera for DD India.
And in Sri Lanka, the 10-day-long annual Kandi Esala Perahera, that's known as the Festival of the Tooth. It's being celebrated with religious devotion at a temple of the sacred tooth relic in Kandy. The tooth relic of the Lord Buddha is a connecting link between India and Sri Lanka, where it is worshipped as part of the relics of the Lord Buddha. Now, here's our correspondent Ahmed Muyun Faruqi reporting.
The annual Kandi Esala Perahera is being celebrated with devotion at the temple of the sacred tooth relic or the Dalada Maligava in Sri Lanka's Kandy. The sacred tooth relic, which is believed to have mystic powers, was brought from India roughly in the 4th century CE, and since then it is being worshipped in Sri Lanka as the living Lord Buddha. Devotees have reached Kandy to catch a glimpse of the tooth relic during the 10-day-long annual Perahera. As per some accounts, the Perahera concept became popular during the reign of Emperor Ashoka. The celebration, which culminates on Nikini Poya Day, involves daily processions and features combined traditions involving various devalas, dances, performances from drum beaters, whip crackers, and magnificent tuskers atop whom the sacred casket is moved. At an auspicious time, the shrine room is cleaned and the casket holding the relic is moved with utmost veneration.
This is Esala Perahera, it's like a cultural event in Sri Lanka because most of the cultures are connected. So this has a deep meaning inside this Perahera as well.
The The Festival of Truth, or Kandi Esala Perahara, is the most apt symbol of the shared heritage of Buddhism that binds India and Sri Lanka. The sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha that was brought from India has been integral to the devotion of people, and this devotion is best seen through this Perahara. For DD India, Ahmed Moin Faruqi from Kandy.
And now sports news. Well, India's golden boy Neeraj Chopra has won a gold medal once again. He had won the gold in the Olympics, if we recall, the Asian Games, the Commonwealth Games, and now he's won the World Championship gold as well. He had also won the Diamond League gold.
Olympic champion Neeraj Chopra scripted history yet again as he became the first Indian to win a gold medal in the World Athletics Championships with a big throw of 88.17 meters in the men's javelin final. With this, he became the first Indian athlete to win a gold medal at World Championships. The President of India congratulated the golden boy. On social platform X, formerly called Twitter, the President wrote, and I quote, "India is proud of Neeraj Chopra. I convey my heartiest congratulations to him. I wish his legend would grow with more such feats." Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also congratulated him as he wrote, "The talented Neeraj Chopra exemplifies excellence. His dedication, precision and passion make him not just a champion in athletics, but a symbol of unparalleled excellence in the entire sports world. Congrats to him for winning the gold at the World Athletics Championships." Indian Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur congratulated Neeraj Chopra on winning a gold medal. The minister says the entire nation is proud of his achievements.
The golden boy of athletics, I must say that he has done it again. We are so proud of his achievements. Congratulations to Neeraj Chopra. 1.4 billion Indians feels proud today. And not only Neeraj Chopra, but the other two players have done also well. We're among the top 5. There were about 3 players who have done extremely well. And I'm sure they'll keep it up for the next Asian Games and the Olympic Games.
Neeraj Chopra adds another golden page to the history of Indian sports. His superlative performance in the javelin throw will inspire millions of young athletes. Sports Desk, DD India.
The ICC Men's One-Day International Cricket World Cup inches closer. The hosts India, their campaign will start on the 8th of October in Chennai against Australia. The final will be played at the world's biggest cricket stadium in Ahmedabad, and India will host this 45-day-long event in 10 different locations.
The ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 will begin on October 5th as England will face New Zealand in the opening match. India will host the 45 days long event at 10 locations. The showcase tournament will feature a total of 10 teams. The top 4 teams advance to the knockout stage and semi-finals after each team plays the other 9 teams in a round-robin style. Hosts India's campaign will get underway on October 8th in Chennai against the 5-time World Cup champions Australia. Key fixtures. Apart from the cracking opening encounter and India's face-off with 2019 semi-finalists Australia, the tournament is filled with a host of crucial clashes. The much-anticipated India-Pakistan clash is scheduled for Sunday, October 15th in Ahmedabad. Their last encounter in the 2019 World Cup was a high-scoring affair, with India achieving a huge victory in Manchester. Pakistan will face Australia in Bengaluru on October 20, while England clash against South Africa the next day in Mumbai. Australia face their arch-rivals England on November 4th in Ahmedabad. Knockout stages. The first semi-final will be held on Wednesday, November 15th in Mumbai, and the second semi-final will be held the following day in Kolkata. Both semi-finals will have a reserve day. The final will take place at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad on November 19th, with November 20 slated as the reserve day. All 3 knockout fixtures will be day-night affairs. Tournament venues.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect to us on Facebook, on X, that's formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.